Alrighty, good evening everyone. My name is Benjamin, and welcome to weekly updates of our presidential election model. The Senate model is not going to get updated as often simply because I want polls to update it because it gets pretty boring saying, well, there's not much change here, and well, the link to the model is going to be in the description. Hopefully, all got it bookmarked. Just remember, keep updating me, telling me if the link still works. Anyway, I'm also going to update my own personal forecast here. This is currently the models, and right now it's kind of reacting in a weird way. Let me go to the approval rating section. And as we can see, I've collapsed it a lot. So we have 3 months that got collapsed into this. And because of that, I think I think maybe there's about maybe a full point swing that isn't being captured. And that actually matters at the national level when we go there. But whatever, I'm going to treat it as if my model is acting correctly. This is just how because I can't really effectively do a rolling average because I'm not that computer savvy. Maybe I can talk to my little brother who that's kind of his specialty is programming and stuff. See if I can get him to do it to get it so that I can actually do a true rolling average. But for right now, this is the best I can do. So typically I update at the end of the week, and I break each month down into as many full weeks as I can. Okay, so sometimes I'll actually be able to squeeze in 5 weeks into a month. Most of the time, it's going to be 4. I don't think I'll ever have a month where I have 3 weeks, but whatever. Anyway, and of course, every 3 months, I collapse it by quarter to make sure it's, well, not terrible. That said, maybe I should wait until a month after the new quarter starts to collapse the other months. I don't know. We'll see. I may consider doing that. So basically, instead of collapsing the 3 months right at the end of that quarter, I'll wait for another full month of polling before I collapse the previous quarter, because that might change. That might make the poll a little bit less sensitive to what happened here, where we had, I think before last time I checked, Donald Trump was actually carrying Michigan, Pennsylvania, and Wisconsin. When I looked at my model as well as the, but when I collapsed it, all of a sudden that changed, and I didn't change any of the numbers. It's just the way taking the measurements by week and then by month and then by quarter works out, and the way I've done the averages. Technically, none of the numbers have changed. However, the result can change based off of how you measure it. So this is this basically winds up being a macro look at the situation, whereas beforehand we were getting a much more micro look. And somewhere in between is probably the truth of the situation. So I'm going to go ahead and show you what my personal count is going to be. Now, my personal forecast is a confidence map. So the darker the color, the more confident I am of the result. Actually, I'm changing that based off of the new news. And I almost never go. No. Crap. There we go. Toss up yellow. Add. Cool. Yeah. That seems about correct. That should be likely. Actually, because of the new news. Yeah, that's all correct. Yeah, I'm going to stay with that. Alright, ist gut. Yeah, so this is my own personal forecast, what I'm looking at. I've downgraded a few states because of the whole Donald Trump Ukraine situation. Now, when I started reading the transcript, it started off basically the normal way, transcripts between Democratic leaders. When I say Democratic, I mean elected heads of state. Will talk to each other after one of them has won an election. And that's kind of how the transcript started. And then it got really weird because from what it looked like the Ukrainian president was... I'm not sure how suspicious this is, but it was almost as if it was dictated by Trump what the Ukrainian president was saying. Because it did not... It sounded almost exactly the same style as Donald Trump has. Now, maybe I'm wrong about that, but it seemed a little fishy to me. But I'm going to assume that it's as close as we're going to get to a 100% accurate transcript, and that actually was the call that was going on. And what I'm going to say about it is I can see why Democrats are up in arms, and honestly, from what it looks like, I don't think it's a good look for Donald Trump. Personally, and I think it could hurt him with independents and people who actually aren't sure who they're going to vote for, because the reality of it is he did the whole, well, I'm not pressuring you to do anything. There's a whole foreign aid situation going on, but at the same time, I'd appreciate a favor. That is... It's shady for sure. Is it a quid pro quo? No, of course not. But then again, you could argue it kind of is. And I'm not even sure the quid pro quo thing even matters at this point, because it's more about what was Donald Trump asking in that favor. Could you do a favor for me? That's not saying, can you please do this, this, and this, and it doesn't even matter if anything's exchanged for it. Saying, well, I'd appreciate a favor. That's not exactly something that's damning, but at the same time, it's not something that you want to be asking a foreign head of state to do, especially when it's investigating one of your own citizens. I don't think this is going to change anyone's opinions. That said, if the House does file impeachment procedure, any impeachment proceeding, it's going to carry, and then it's going to go to the Senate, and I don't think the Senate's going to do anything about it. We'll see what happens, though, after testimony, but this is a lot less clear-cut than Watergate ever was. Is it improper? Is it an abuse of power? Well, I'm not sure if this is an abuse of power. This is such a weird situation. And you can go back to my political soapbox on this whole thing for my opinion on it. And after reading the transcript, I'm not going to be upset one way or another what happens, because I understand both sides. I understand both complaints. So it's kind of one of those really weird situations where I think the Democrats would be. I think Congress would be justified in impeaching him, just barely, but I think they would be justified because there's just enough wiggle room to argue, yes, it's beyond a shadow of a doubt. That said, it's such a weird situation. If he is impeached, we're going to need to have a very serious trial in the Senate, and I hope it's taken seriously. That said, if he doesn't get impeached or if he's not removed from office, I can see that side of the argument too, because it makes sense in that case. This is turning into something really interesting. I think political science and civics teachers are having a field day with this case, as long as they're treating it in an unbiased manner. That said, it's really hard to do in this day and age. And I want to try and start something, and I'm going to try and talk with a few people in a lot of different places. And one of the things I want to try and start is something that I'm going to call reach across the aisle. Basically, it's befriend someone who you disagree with day, Talk to somebody who has a completely different opinion. Be friendly. Listen to their mind. Befriend them, basically. Don't try and argue. Just say, well, okay, I can see how you see that. Something like that. And hopefully we can get people on both sides of the aisle to do it. And maybe we can try and heal some of the divides in this nation, because being at each other's throats is not good for the country in the long run. Anyway, I'm rambling enough. I may have another episode of Ben's Political Soapbox later this week. I probably will. We'll see. Anyway, I want to thank you all for watching. Hope you enjoyed. I'll see you guys next time. Take it easy. Bye.